So it's funny because when people think about voting, they think about the White House. Who's our president? But what we forget about is so much happens on the local level.
The local is the most important vote there is.
So much happens on the local
most
level.
important
So
vote
much
there is.
happens.
It should never be a popularity contest. It should not be, well, I'm voting for JR because I know JR. No, it should be, what does JR believe in? What? He wants to shut down our schools and agrees with the superintendent that we're going to rift all these teachers and shut down 4 schools? No, I'm not voting for this person then.
So I think the challenge is, and I have customers texting me, I think the challenge is that when it comes time to vote, it is a popularity vote, but no one knows the true record. And so one thing that was said today was, well, a lot was blamed on the past administration, which is funny. But even they're like, well, there's different board members then. I'm like, but I know there's one new one in July that got sworn in when the superintendent got sworn in. But I'm like, how long have these others been here? So I'm trying to figure that out. But this is
they're what, 4-year positions,
I think
and they rotate. So they've been there at least 2 years. At least 2 years.
I want to get the exact because I think, and I asked this question to the president about, can you tell me who was on the board, who voted yes or no? And she didn't answer that question. She's like, here's a website. Go listen to these videos.
Yeah,
so.
And that's the whole thing. The school systems are not transparent.
No.
They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that they've screwed up the financial situation. They don't want you to know that they are the reason why the schools are closing. They are in charge. They are at fault. Their lack of ability to see what the kids is best for the kids is the reason that 4 schools, 4 schools by that are going to close in Randolph County.
Years, yep. But the thing is, like I said, well, does Elkins know? Because they're like, yeah, close Harmon and Pickens, but don't they realize 2 of their schools are going to close? So I don't know if they know that, but the superintendent said, listen, I've been talking about this since I've been here. He says it's online.
And for the one person that voted against the bus, whoever that was, God bless that person, because I've been in those meetings where I've been the lone no, and they're like, why didn't you just vote yes? You know you're getting voted down. And I said, because I want the record to show that I was the only one that was on the right side of this decision.
So the buses is interesting because the conversation was about it helps us have a higher.
Well, I'm gonna ask you a question. Does the bus garage even have the electric to support it? Because Grant County doesn't.
No. So what they're doing is, and I wrote this down here, so they're going to actually do, according to the treasurer, they're going to put service in specifically for it, because what they're going to do is they're going to put in their own service for it. So they got to do that, maybe a couple of grand, he said. But the electric for that, they can actually charge back to the state and get reimbursed for it. Because they're like, we get reimbursed for gas, but now we're going to get reimbursed for electric. So they're going to put in service.
But they have to put in. But I said, does the electric grid?
Oh, in Randolph County
of where they're putting it in. So they're putting in.
They're running a whole special.
Okay.
Service. And the thing is, just so you know, the transportation expense, most of that's reimbursed. 95% is reimbursed. So
and then
food, transportation, all that's reimbursed.
Okay, so the next thing is, I know that they have to be stored inside during the winter.
They have to be hooked up to be plugged in. So I met the guy came in, Nick. What was Nick's name? He's the head of transportation. He came in and talked to me a little bit. I said, is there room in the bus garage for the 2 buses? He said, no. He said, but we have them plugged in. And the way it is, we'll plug them into that special service so everything goes back. He says, what we'll do is they're computerized where they'll look and see, when do we need to turn it on? We'll run off the power that we're plugged into instead of the bus battery. So he said, it's this whole fancy thing. So he said, it does not need to be in a garage.
Okay. But they're going to be running for a long part of the time and charging. And how long does the charge take? We went through this with Grant County.
Only an hour. So they said,
they can have a full charge in 1 hour.
Only an hour. No. Run with a full charge for an hour.
Yeah, I know that. But how long does it take to get the full charge?
When we did Petersburg, it was like 8 to 12 hours.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But he said they said we're just going to run these locally. So they do get more money because they're showing their energy efficient. So instead of 95%, they get like 105%. So they do get a little bit of a kick for that. So
Well, is that enough to not shut the 4 schools down?
Listen, there's never a conversation about, I want us to go through this and figure out how we don't have to close schools. Never the conversation. This is my plan I put together. I have a PhD. I spent a lot of time in Dubai. I've written a book, written a lot of stuff.
About closing schools.
Reorganizing. Let's do my plan. So I wish, that's the thing that frustrated me. I wish there was a conversation around, we'd love to find out how not to close these schools. Like, there was never.
And
the
there's
whole time.
never a conversation
Never.
about what's best for the kids.
Never. It wasn't that.
And I hear this.
Here's what it was.
Time.
How can we make sure this affects the least amount of kids? So it's not, we don't want to affect any of the kids. It's how do we affect less kids with our decision? Why don't you just say, I don't want any of my decisions to affect kids negatively?
Yeah.
You
Well,
would think that's what the school system's for.
I've put in another call to my legislature buddies, and I'm going to tell them that the superintendent is blaming them, and
they said it's legislation.
and I'm going to see what it is,
They said it's
because
they said that.
I have heard, because we have we know people that have IEPs. I've heard you get extra money for that.
You do. And that's called special education funds. And I asked about that. And that's one of the things they're going to send me the finances on. He said, you do get more money. He said, but it doesn't cover the cost at all because you get to hire special people and aides. He says it helps some, but it doesn't cover the whole cost. That's what I was told. You do get money, but it doesn't cover the cost.
Yeah, then I would have to see what all the costs actually
that's what I asked
are.
For. What's the incoming and outgoing for
Because
the
I
special
would
education
assume that the State Board of Education tracks all of this and knows exactly how much it costs to handle a child with an IEP.
They do.
And adjust for that.
They said they do not. They were very direct. We do not get reimbursed for the full amount we have to pay for special education services. That was a very simple question.
Well, okay, so this is a play on words, and I'm going to tell you how it works. Okay. And we're just making up numbers just so people understand.
Keep talking.
We get $10 per student. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this kid with an IEP, he's going to cost us an extra $2. And the government's only going to pay $1.50 of that $2. And, that means we're in the hole. But what they don't tell you is you're still getting that $10 for that child. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I was texting.
Okay, I'll say it again.
Go slow.
You get $10 per child.
Okay, for example, yep.
Okay. And the government, and they're saying, but it costs $2 to do this extra child, and they only give you $1.50, so we're in the hole 50 cents. But you still get the $10.
I'm not following you.
Every child that goes to school gets $10.
Oh, you mean their normal money? They get $8,000 per student.
Okay. Well, I was just keeping small numbers.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, because I'm not sure about the
money.
$8,000 either.
Because I asked about that. I said I heard Grant County gets $12,000, and I said I may be pulling this number out wrong, but he was like,
I thought that's what we were
I
told
thought
by
that's what Tony said.
Yeah.
But he's like, that seems high, and I said, well, Tony may have a secret you don't know about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, when you don't report $50,000 of raises.
no, he didn't report. He incorrectly reported.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't report it.
Yeah.
The 1 year he didn't report
That
it.
means because he reported half of her salary.
Yeah.
He didn't report so he misreported. Anyway.
Yeah. So they're still getting that original 10, but they'll tell you they're short.
Well,
because they still get the original $10.
Okay, but here's my question. So let's say they get the $10 for
I
the
know
kid.
when you're in government jobs, there's fancy ways of bookkeeping to show that you have losses that you don't show.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. West Virginia is on the WVES DOS system from 1985. And he said the state of West Virginia requires us to have that. Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like,
Okay. Well, you want to wrap it around? All we know is Harmon, Pickens, Elkins. Now, I'm sorry, you're probably going to have all 4 schools closed. Their mind is made up. and it's
Yeah.
not about the kids.
I hate to say because my friends in Harmon, I love them to death. Super nice relationships, but I don't feel optimistic. After today's meeting, I was like, he is so stuck on, like, to me, this was more of like, this was like Mitch building the front of Petersburg High School.
Yeah.
This was like his thing.
Yeah.
This is
But-
my plan.
And here's what I'm going to tell you, Harmon. Do not fall for the virtual stuff. I know it's going to suck, and I know you're going to want to take the easy way out.
Well, let's talk about
Make
that.
them pay to ship those kids the whole way,
Let's talk about that.
because it's not the best way.
So part of this was, and this came up when he had a meeting with the businessmen in the area, a virtual school in Harmon.
Oh, and can I also tell you something else where there's going to be more of a drain? Do you know that when you teach virtual, you get double pay?
Teachers?
You get paid to teach, and you get a virtual teaching pay.
Oh, no clue. But anyway,
So,
so they're going to do virtual teaching, and I said, well, that's not effective. He said, no, we know. During COVID, virtual
yeah, you
training.
said that, yeah.
I said that
Yeah.
already.
Mhm.
Sorry. And so this would actually be classroom training, and so they would keep the school open. Lunch, they're reimbursed 100% of every lunch count. And I'm asked for the lunch counts because I had somebody call me out of the blue and say, "Hey, check the lunch counts. I heard they were being the way they did them was dishonest,
And then
and
didn't
somebody
we-
got."
Didn't
someone
we
got in
find
trouble."
out that the same lunch, it was the exact same number of
That's what someone
for
said.
the 3 years in a row or something?
Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what someone said. And they apparently someone in the office, some federal charge. I don't know. I'm trying to dig it out. So because of this, they would get reimbursed for transportation and reimbursed for funds, but they still get the $8,000 per student. But what that means is, can your child in a classroom, there may not be a teacher I don't know, because they can get rid of
Yeah.
staff.
Yeah.
But you're going to be learning from a teacher who's teaching virtually. Is that good for your child, right? That's the question. Can your child learn, or should they start a charter school?
So what happens when that child says, I have a question, teacher, and she doesn't hear and she's doing something
Yeah,
else?
yeah.
Or what happens when the internet doesn't support the frame rate that needs to be, and then there's a lag? Trust me, we deal with this with ESL classes,
There can always be something that goes sideways.
Yeah. Yeah. And the infrastructure in the West Virginia is not the best
Yeah.
for stuff like that. If it's closed, and this might sound bad, if I lived in Harmon and the school was closed, I still would not send my child virtual.
Okay.
That's me.
Well, here's the thing. I think that the community is going to be somewhat excited to still have a school there, so their kids can
I
say.
know, and that's what worries
But
me.
let me say. So, for an example, a friend of mine, they can say, "Hey, my dad graduated from Harmon. I graduated from Harmon." So I think that's going to be some of a pool. I do.
Well,
think
here's the
so.
thing. It's not even Randolph County teachers.
It's Barber.
So technically, you're going to graduate from Barber.
Would you really, or are you just saying it to be funny?
Saying that to be funny because it's not going to be Randolph County teachers, but
No, it would be Barber.
Barber is probably better off, so they might get a better.
They'd have a higher scoring. Yeah. So I did email for lots more information. The big thing is trips and expenditures, and I've had so many calls on that, so I'm really curious about that. But just so you know, superintendent can spend $10,000. Had a meeting last week or the week before. Superintendent meeting. He brought two people to it, 2 plus him, and we're in financial trouble. And that's how they're spending money. And they don't think that's an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think they'd be like, well, the treasurer said, well, they already had a book. I already said this. They already booked the hotel.
I'm telling you, it's government. They don't care because it's not their money.
It's free money to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's where
Well,
I'm
good
at.
luck with everything, and we're going to keep digging,
luck
and
for
I'm going
everything.
to keep hammering them because I think it's ridiculous what they're doing. Ridiculous what they're doing.
I'm shocked.
And here's someone who would like to see all public schools closed.
I know you're not a public school guy.
No.
I know that.
No.
I know that. I am a fan of public choice, and I'm a fan of choice. School
School choice.
Yep.
And you choose public schools.
Yes, I do. All 4 of my kids are in public schools. My oldest one's going to graduate high school with an associate degree, free college.
Listen, this is year 5 of me doing the homeschooling.
Yeah.
Year 5.
You've not got smarter, I don't think. I think you're getting...
I actually have. I'm telling you, I love it because I'm like, oh man, if I would have been able to know this when I was in school, but you zone out and the good thing is I start at 8:30 and we're normally done by 10:30.
Yeah, well, I start at 5:30 and then get home about 5. So, oh, you're talking about school.
Yeah. No, then I work too.
Yeah.
So.
Understand. So this is what we got. I wish I had like amazing news. I mean, I got some of the parents called me today, and I'm like, I don't feel optimistic. I really don't.
No.
I just don't. And neither did some of the businessmen. They said that something's up, and so
I guarantee you, what I would do if I was a businessman and I was against it, I would be like, "That's fine. You will never see a dime of my money again." Oh, when your football team or basketball team needs a charter bus to go do this, you're not seeing a dime of my money. Oh, when you need you're not seeing a dime of my money.
So my last comment, after you just shut down everyone's donation, my gut feeling out of all this, I'm trying to have discernment. My discernment is something's not right. And when I say that, I mean this. This is just Justin in my head. I feel like somebody's pulling dilly strings and someone's pulling the board office strings. I feel like there's somebody in Charleston. I'm saying Charleston because that's the next step up.
Yeah.
I just have this gut feeling there's something there.
Well,
Something's not right.
I read an article just this week. I think the state of West Virginia wants to close 50 schools or something like that.
Well, the question was asked by the CEO that was there. Is the state putting pressure on you? And Dilly's like, no. And I said, that's not true. I said, I've been told by superintendents the state's putting pressure on you. And he said nothing else about that when I said it. But something just tells me, because I try to look for the best in people. Something tells me somebody's pulling strings.
But here's the thing.
Done.
Why was this goofball hired?
Hey, it took 3 times for him to get hired.
Why?
No clue. I was told there's 3 times he applied. He got it on the 3rd. It could be because family was in. One of his family members is now on the board. That could be it. I don't know. Something's not right.
Your Board of Education members made this decision. I would never bring in someone who had written a book about consolidating schools or whatever the phrase he used was. I'd be like, yeah, go pound sand. Go to another county. You're not coming to ours.
Well, he didn't get renewed in Mineral. They didn't renew his contract.
Yeah.
And I have no clue why. I've called all my connections, and everyone is like,
yeah,
it's almost
this is what I got.
It's almost like he's a spy.
Yes, I know him. That's all I can say.
It's true. It's almost like they're like like robots. They're like, oh yeah, I know him. Do you have any thoughts? No, I know him.
They look like a hostage.
So something's weird. Something's up, and I don't know what it is. And I mean that's.
I'm gonna keep. I worked in Kaiser, so I'm gonna keep
asking.
digging. I was thinking today. I'm like, who else can I call on? And I do have another guy that I'm going to give a call.
I talked to one last night in
I forgot.
Fort Ashby.
My mentor's brother worked there.
Okay.
Under him.
So find out what you can. I mean, just something's off. And I don't know what it is. And I mean that sincerely. I'm perplexed.
Yeah. I don't know if the state board is grooming these people to go in and do their dirty work or what. So
I don't know. Something's
we'll
up.
try.
But I feel bad for Harmon and Pickens. I really do. I truly feel bad for them.
But listen,
their kids are going to suffer the most.
I said it. I said if the next levy doesn't go through, I look for them to threaten to close Union.
If they don't get a levy, they'd have to financially.
Yeah,
because many counties are on the same issue that Randolph is. They're on that cliff, and the problem is not a money issue; it's a spending issue.
Always is.
Yeah,
there's plenty of money. There's too much money in government.
I mean, yeah. So anyway.
Okay. Explore Randolph County. It is what it is.
Is that the end?
I guess.